For the longest time, I was seen as the strong one. The one who listened to everyone, who always had advice, who kept a smile on their face no matter what. On the outside, I looked stable, confident, collected. But inside, I was crumbling. Quietly, slowly, and dangerously. The truth is, I became an expert in pretending. I learned how to act like I was fine, like I had it all together. I disguised exhaustion with humor. I covered up anxiety with productivity. I laughed in group conversations while my chest was tight with pressure. I told people, I'm good, just tired, when in reality I was barely holding myself together. And the worst part? Nobody noticed, because I didn't let them. Faking it became my survival mechanism. At first it felt like self-protection, like I was just being strong. But eventually it turned into a trap. I wasn't protecting myself anymore, I was hiding. From everyone and from myself. There were times I'd sit in silence, completely surrounded by people, and still feel like I was the only one in the room. Like I was screaming internally, but no one could hear. Because I never made a sound. I didn't know how. I was too afraid of being seen, afraid of seeming weak. So I kept the mask on, every day, for years. I was always in a rush. Rushing through conversations before they got too deep. Rushing to fill my schedule so I didn't have to think. Rushing to keep up the image of someone who had it all figured out. But late at night, when the world was quiet and I was alone, everything would come crashing down. That's when it hit the hardest. The numbness, the emptiness, the aching question. Why do I feel so hollow? I started waking up feeling like I hadn't slept. Not because I was tired, but because I was emotionally drained. All the time. Sometimes I'd look in the mirror and wonder who I was even looking at. The face was familiar. The expression was rehearsed. But the eyes were distant, hollow. Like the light had gone out a long time ago and no one had noticed. Not even me. And then came the panic attacks. At first, I didn't even realize that's what they were. I just knew I couldn't breathe sometimes, that my chest would tighten in traffic, that my hands would tremble for no reason, that I'd lie awake at night with my heart racing and my thoughts spiraling. Still, I told myself I was fine, just tired, just overworked, just stressed. Just a phase, anything but what it really was. I was falling apart, quietly. While pretending everything was okay. I had learned from a young age to toughen up, to hide emotion, to never let anyone see me struggle, to smile through pain. So that's what I did, every single day, until my body couldn't take it anymore. My mind was shutting down. I was no longer living, I was performing, going through the motions, saying the right things, showing up with the right smile. But I wasn't really there. And the most terrifying part was, I didn't even know how to stop, because I had built my whole identity around being okay. But eventually, something snapped. One night alone, I broke down, fully, completely. I cried like I hadn't cried in years. Not a graceful cry, but an ugly, heaving, choking kind of cry. One that felt like it had been buried for decades, and in that moment, something inside me whispered, you don't have to pretend anymore. That moment didn't fix everything, but it was the beginning of honesty, the beginning of healing, the beginning of me finally asking, what am I actually feeling? At first, I couldn't even answer. I had buried my emotions so deep that I didn't know how to access them anymore. But little by little, I started writing. Pouring thoughts onto paper that I couldn't say out loud. Thoughts that were messy, raw, confusing, but real. I started opening up to one person. Just one. Someone I trusted. I told them things I never told anyone. I expected judgment or pity. But what I got was presence. Someone just listening. And for the first time in years, I felt seen. That was the spark I needed. I looked for help. Real help. Not motivational quotes, not pretending to be fine. Routines. I found a therapist. And even though I was resistant at first, because asking for help felt like weakness, it changed everything. I started to understand where my pain was really coming from. I realized I had internalized so many lies that my worth depended on how composed I seemed. That being vulnerable was dangerous, that nobody would love the real me if I showed them. But slowly, I proved myself wrong. I started choosing rest without guilt. I started saying no to things that drained me. I stopped forcing conversations and started seeking connection. And most importantly, I let myself feel again. Really feel. I allowed myself to cry without shame, to laugh without faking it, to sit in silence without fear. I gave myself permission to be human, and I discovered something profound. Real strength isn't pretending to be okay. Real strength is being honest when you're not. It's admitting you're tired. It's reaching out even when your voice shakes. It's asking for help before you hit rock bottom. It's sitting in your own pain and saying, "This hurts, but I'll survive." Today, I still have moments. Days when the mask wants to creep back on. When the old habits whisper, "Don't show too much, don't be too real." But now I stop. I breathe, I listen, and instead of shutting down, I lean in. I ask myself, what do you really need right now? And I try to give myself that, not approval, not praise, just care. Because I realized, if I don't take care of myself, no one else will. Not because they don't want to, but because they can't see what I don't show. If you're watching this and you're pretending to, I see you. I know what it's like to carry the weight of invisible pain, to smile while drowning, to fear that if you stop pretending, everything will fall apart. But here's the truth. Sometimes, things need to fall apart so they can be rebuilt, stronger, truer, real. You don't have to do this alone. You're allowed to ask for help. You're allowed to not be okay. You're allowed to rest. You don't have to perform your way through life. You don't have to wear that mask every day. You don't have to carry pain in silence just to be accepted, because the real you, the raw, honest, healing you, is worthy of love. And if no one has told you this lately, let me be the one to say it. You matter. You are not weak for feeling. You are not broken for hurting. And you are not alone.